Hi guys, and welcome back to another fly tying tutorial. So no box is complete without some filth in it. So what I've got in the vise is my rendition of Lance Egan's Poacher. Now it's supposed to represent a sculpin, and I'm going to take you through how I tie it. It's probably slightly different than that of Lance, who's a phenomenal tyer and angler, and hopefully I'll add a little twist of my own. So, without further ado, let's get into it. The hook in the vise then is a Hanak 480 barbless hook at size 10. As you can see, it's a jig hook. It's finished in black nickel and it's on a heavy wire. I've coupled that with a 4mm tungsten bead, and again, as you can see, it's black. The thread I'm going to be using is from Trout line, and it's the Sumo thread in black at 50 denier. Now, before I cast my GSP style thread on, I'm just going to get a touch of super glue onto the shank of the hook, and then I can use my thread to spread that up and down, and I'm just going to get a little start like so, and come in with my cutting tool and remove that rat's tail. So I do like streamers, and I've got several in my box, little micro streamers like this, but I just thought it would be prudent to add Lance Egan's Poacher, or certainly my version of it, because, well, the guy's a fantastic fisherman, so if he's got them, it's worth me having them. Now, I'm going to do something slightly different here. I'm using Semperfi's lead-free wire. It's at 9mm, and I don't bother wrapping it around the shank. All I do is I take it, push it into the bead, come back, and then I secure it in. And what I'm looking for really is about 1 centimetre worth of that lead wire. Now I'm going to take a really old pair of scissors here, and I'm just going to use that to get a little slope into that wire. I just find doing it this way is a little quicker than wrapping the lead wire. And with my river patterns, I want them to be as quick as possible, really. So I've got my thread bed down, and what I'm using for my tail is this zonker strip here. It's from Trout line. It's olive, as you can see. And what I want to do first of all is take away a little bit of the fur you see at this end. So I'll just get that out the way, and then over my waste bin I'm just going to trim that away like so. So I've got that little bit. Now what I want to do is tie it in with the skin facing upwards. Now you can see I've been doing this, and you'll see how that little slit appears as we go on with the tying. So I'm going to dress that up to the wire, catch it in with a few turns, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it back. Now my streamers that I have in my box are mostly tied with marabou, to be honest. I don't really use the rabbit strips or zonker strips for that matter. Now with this, I want to come just below the bend of the hook, which might seem a little odd if you're used to tying zonkers, but what this will do is help prevent tail fouling on the hook when you start to fish the pattern. Now lengthwise, you can measure this out. I'm just going to do it approximately. So there's 1 inch, and I'm going to come about 1/2 inch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it in a V, and I'll just show you that there. So I've cut it in a V, and what that does is it just makes the tailing on the zonker strip go down to a fine end, so you get a lot more movement when you do this with your zonker strips. Now one of the tips I did pick up from watching Lance's video is he uses a marker pen to just add that extra bit of detail. So I'm going to come in, just put some black bars across the strip. That looks okay. And then next, Sculpins have like a whitish kind of belly, depending on where you're fishing. That it can be slightly different, but I've got some of this. It's kind of like a light bright. It's on a shank, and I'm going to take just a few fibres off. I don't need a whole lot. It has got some like coarse white material in it, and I'll just take a little bit of that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up with that and trap that in like so. So when I say I like a little bit of filth in my box, I'm not a big fan of the mop fly. I've got to be honest, I don't have many of them, not since I tied up a load for going steelhead fishing. But the other filth I like to have in my river boxes are squirmy worms. I just think they're super effective for both trout and grayling. Now what I'm going to do is I've got this lifted up. I don't want to cut it in a straight line. What I want to do is just come in with my scissors and try and taper it down so it's not in a straight line. That's just ideal actually. And then what I want to do next is I'm going to grab my thread, I'm going to bring it back up the shank of the hook, and I'm going to do something else that I don't do very regularly. Normally I would split the thread to create a dubbing loop, but on this occasion I am going to create a proper dubbing loop. Now I'm just hoping that is enough. I don't think it is. I'm going to come back and just increase the length of that dubbing loop. I'm not quite sure that would be enough for what I'm going to do. So come back, just made the loop a little bigger. It's hard to see when you're this close in onto the fly pattern, but it is a fairly substantial dubbing loop. I'm going to come all the way back to where my body's going to begin, and I'll simply bring my thread back up towards the eye of the hook. So I've got my dubbing twister here, and I like this one. Well, when I use a dubbing twister, I like this one. I don't much get on with them at the very best at times, as you can see. But I'm going to use this one. I'll just get it onto my thread, and I'll let that sit while I get the next material. And what I'm using is some hen's hair dubbing, and the exact number is NC16, and basically this is an olive hybrid dubbing. It has some sparkle in it, and what I want to do is I'm just going to take little pinches, try and lay it out as best I can. It's kind of clogged up with that rabbit that's in there. So all I'm doing, just off camera actually, you can't quite see, I'm just trying to create a little bit of a dubbing boon, if you like. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to capture that into my clip, and then I can grab my dubbing loop, insert the clip. You can do it by hand if you're feeling brave enough. And once I've got that in place, I can twist up the dubbing. This is looking a bit hairy at the minute, but don't worry, we're going to sort that out. So I'm fairly content, I've got that spun right up. Now first of all, I'm going to come in with my fingers and just remove some of that dubbing. I'm not going to throw it away, I've got a whole clump here that I can use on a second fly. Next thing then, with my wire brush, I'm going to pull that dubbing out like so, and then I can start bringing that around the fly. So once you've got the first couple of turns in, it does get a bit easier. So I want the material to flow backwards, so like I would a hackle, I'm just pulling it round. Now with sculpins, they're really heavy on the front end, big thick heavy heads, and then they taper away to a nice thin body, which is quite distinctive in the water if you've ever watched sculpins. And then again, I'm just bringing that round. And I know this looks quite bulky in the vise here, but once it's wet, it really does slim right down. And I'll get that profile that I'm after. So I've nearly got enough here. It's a little shorter on the head than I would have liked. I like to bring it right up to the bead in the normal scheme of things, but the dubbing loops let me down. I've let myself down really, I didn't put enough dubbing in, did I? But we'll catch that in, and then I can come in with my blade tool, take away the remainder of the dubbing loop. So far so good. Now what I'm going to do is just get a couple of safety turns in there. Then I'm going to come in again with my wire brush, and I'm going to start brushing that dubbing all the way up. And I'll do your side as well. That's looking pretty good. Good enough for me. Just get that out and put that back in the pile of dubbing. So I've now got the hair all standing up, and what I want to do is trim that so that it tapers down and it goes away to nothing at the back end here. Try not to catch in that nice pearl that you took the time to tie in like I nearly did. And then what I can do is come back, and you can see, or you will be able to see in a minute when I turn the vise the right way, I've got that kind of shape going on now. And then I can really lean in with my brush and get that taper and profile just right. So next we're going to tie in some dyed partridge, and what I've got here is from Vineyards. It's obviously English partridge, and it's been dyed a nice olive pattern. Now I've already got a feather out, save you hanging round, and I've trimmed it to what I need here. And what I'm going to do is just trim it a little further actually. A few more fibres off of that. And then I'm going to tie it in at the stalk. So I'll just come in with my scissors and remove that. And then I can grab my thread and capture that stalk in place. Now the pectoral fins on the Sculpin are quite prominent, so this is what's going to represent them. Now I've lost my hackle pliers, here they are. Now I find English partridge is always a little bit delicate at the tip, so just when you're bringing it round, just be careful. I'm looking for about a turn and a half here, which is all I'm going to get with this size of feather. So I'll capture that in, just grab that tip. I think, as I recall, Howard Croston does a really nice Sculpin as well, which I must have a look at and get a few in my box. Just I've not managed to trim that properly. I'm going to come in again, have another go at it. There we are. Then I'll just get them fibres all moving backwards, and I've made a right hash of the tip of the feather, but I'll be able to cover that up, so it's not a big issue. So there we go. We've got our hackle tied in, and to finish the fly off, we just need a little bit more of the dubbing. I like to use quite a generous pinch for this, and then pull it all out with my brush once I've got it into place. So just grab that in, and I've come down about 2 inches with the dubbing needle there. So I'll pull that round like so, And before I whip finish, I'm going to get a little varnish onto my thread. Too much. And then I can grab my whip finish tool and simply finish that up. Sorry about that, just knocked over my beads. They're now all over my desk. No change there. So to finish off the pattern then, what I'm going to do is come in, pull out some of that fibres from the head. I'm going to just try and part them slightly, and then the bottom here, I'm going to do the same. Try and pull them up and round to the side. And remember the sculpin, well sorry, the jig hook will be fishing in this manner. So what you've got is your little sculpin tail there. You've got that English partridge giving the impressions of a pectoral fin, and that's going to bulk and move and twist in the water and hopefully catch you some good fish. Now these bigger patterns do tend to take the better fish, and you can either fish it on a normal pulling rig, just an intermediate line, pull it back through the river. It's especially effective on them canally stretches that you don't quite know what to do with. You pull a sculpin through, you can often get a hold of a fish that way. The other way, of course, is using the Euro nymphing technique. You can jig it back and hopefully it'll catch you a few fish. Thanks again to Lance Egan for the inspiration, and I'll see you all in the next video.